So once the script is ready, it's time to get it into a scheduling program so you could do the first step, which is actually to break down the script. The program Movie Magic has been around since the 80s, and it's gone through a lot of hands, and currently now it's called EP scheduling. And from the time that this process became software-based, it had its origins to go back to paper. So it's gone from paper to software to from one manufacturer to another, and to this day it has a lot of sort of archaic information kind of written into it. What I'm going to show you is just basically about going from the first page to the last and entering in all the details. Every scene is basically going to get a page all to itself. So starting with the top here, ignore this sheet area because this is really kind of an old-fashioned thing when it was back on paper, and a lot of people think those are scene numbers and it creates confusion. I'd say please don't even use them. Leave it blank. Remove any numbers that you might see there. Here in the scene box I put one scene per page. Sometimes you could put a few of them if the scene cuts back and forth, but if you can avoid that it's better. This way you usually have just one page per scene. Next we have interior and exterior. What you want to do is think of whether or not the rain could affect you, and if it won't, then it's pretty much an interior. So if you're in a stadium and there's a roof and there's no chance of rain ruining your day, it may slow it down a bit. Pretty much you're calling that an interior. There are a lot of exceptions with everything we're going over, but of course I'm just giving you general answers on all these things. But most of the time it will be pretty clear. If you're shooting a scene in a car, of course, I would call that an interior and exterior, but it more is about an exterior because if it's raining and you're trying to shoot an interior of a car, there's almost no way that you're going to not have a continuity issue if it's raining on the windshield. It's an exterior or an interior / exterior. Next, where it says set, this is actually your location. Be careful, it is a location, but Movie Magic does have an area down here called location, which technically is the address or wherever it is you're going to physically shoot it at, and you might have multiple sets at that one location. You could have a bathroom, you could have a bedroom, you could multiple sets, so keep that in mind just to avoid the confusion. Next you have your day and night, which pretty much everything's going to fall into one category or another. A lot of writers like to put evening and sunset and all these things, but a lot of times with scenes you can't really shoot everything in an entire scene at sunset. It's just not going to practically work. If there's dialogue, if you have to turn the camera on, get coverage, your continuity is going to be ruined, and you're going to have your start of the scene in daylight and your end of the scene at nighttime, and usually that's not intended. So that's one of the things you're going to have to talk to a writer about or a director. If they have too many of those scenes and they're just not practical and they're long scenes, you really have to have them decide and make sure it fits within the continuity of the storytelling itself. Scripts are divided into eighths of pages, so a full page is usually 8/8 of a page. Of course, you'd call that one page. This is done so that we can easily communicate how many pages we're trying to shoot a day. So if you see 3/8 of a page, and it's literally divided into inches, these are approximates. They don't have to be precise, but you have to do them by eye. The synopsis area is an area which you just basically, as short as you can, within about 10 words or less, describe what's happening in the scene. Be as descriptive as you can with the action, but really it has to be concise, otherwise it's going to cut off on other forms that you use, even though there's this big window here to type in information. Script day is actually the number of day counts that your characters are seen on camera. So if you have a movie that takes place over the span of a month, but you only show, say, 5 days out of that month, there's only 5 script days. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll break out the daytime and the nighttime because the character might be at work, and then at night they'll have different clothing. So we'll have day 1, night 1 to establish one day, and then day 2, night 2, and that day 2, night 2 of course will be a week later in the story, but that's the idea. Unit is generally left blank unless you're doing second unit work, and then you're going to tag with second unit. Otherwise, it's not a field that you really need to fill out for first unit stuff. We all assume that anything that is not tagged is first unit. And the kind of things you want to put in there is if you're going to do pickup photography or stock footage or anything else that is not really going to be part of the main action and doesn't require any actors, dialogue, or anything like that, or just establishing shots. Not to say that you want to put off your insert shots because you don't want to have to recreate the wardrobe and the hands and everything else in the sets just to get a little quick insert. It's better to shoot those during the filming. Sequence is for when you have part of a section of a story, for example, a dream sequence or a flashback sequence. It's just a simple way of tagging certain scenes so that you know they belong with that block. It's not really used in any serious function except to help you organize things. Location is not the same as sets, as I was mentioning before. Locations is the destination where you're going to shoot the place, the actual physical location. Multiple sets could be included in there. A lot of times we leave that field blank early on in the budgeting process because we just simply haven't found a location. So you can leave that open-ended and use that as you see fit. These other features here are kind of newer to Movie Magic. EP scheduling, same program, it used to be called Movie Magic. Times are more something that are going to be used for the AD. I don't particularly use them. I have to estimate things and I sort of do it in my head, and there's no real black and white square answer on how to put times associated with these things. Not everybody uses that feature. Comments over here also, again, not everybody uses a feature because there's a feature later you're going to see that does handle comments just as well, and why have it in two places where someone could miss it, so I keep it in one area.